Hi everyone, welcome to the Ohio Beef Council's virtual farm tour. The Ohio Beef Council is a nonprofit 501c5 organization charged with the promotion and marketing of beef and beef products in Ohio. This is a pre-recorded trip from October of 2019. Elementary students from across the state joined Craig Corry for a live virtual field trip to his beef farm near Xenia, Ohio. However, feel free to leave any questions that you have in the comments and we'll do our best to respond. Also, feel free to visit us at ohiobeef.org for more information and resources.
And thanks everyone, all the students and especially the teachers for taking time out of your day to come visit our farm. It's about 60 to 65 degrees today. Beautiful day. It's a good day to be a farmer and it's a good day to be a cow. So we will talk about cattle with you, beef cattle a little bit with you guys. The farm where we are near Xenia, Ohio was settled by my great-great-great-grandfather in 1830. So I would be the sixth generation of the Corry family to operate this land. My kids then obviously are the number 7 generation, and they're also involved in the farm as well. Our farm is about 500 acres in size, and we raise corn and sell a lot of corn, soybeans as well. We raise wheat. We just finished planting winter wheat yesterday, and it will germinate, come up this fall and grow through the winter, and the spring we'll harvest it next summer. So that's a little bit about the crops we raise. We have hay for the cow herd as well, because they eat a lot of hay in the winter when the snow covers the ground and pasture is not growing, obviously. Our beef cow herd is about 35 mother cows like these. We call them up close to the barn so you can see them. The reason we raise cattle on this farm is our main crops are corn, soybeans, and wheat, as I had said, but some of the soil, some of the land of our farm is hilly and rolling. It's not well suited for crop production, but it does grow good grass. So our sustainable side of that is, as the sun shines, the rain falls, and the grass grows, so the cows harvest the grass for us and give us cattle that we can sell. Some of the calves that we raise are shown by kids at fairs and expositions around Ohio and Greene County, around the area, and we feed some of the rest of them out to market weight. So we'll answer some of your questions as we get through. I guess since you guys are a little bit younger, you know how hot it was earlier this week. How hot is too hot for a cow? Now, what does a cow do when it really gets hot? How do we help take care of them? And winter is coming on, so where do the cows go and how do they stay warm in the winter? So last week, right behind us, the cows spent a lot of time under those trees in the shade. Now, cows are very tough. They're tougher than we are. Heat doesn't really bother them. They do appreciate the shade, and they have plenty to eat. They have fresh, cool water out of a spring. We have a pond that feeds into a spring, and they can get all the water they want at any time they want it. They also like to lick some salt blocks, mineral, and we'll show that to you here in a minute, that how a cow's tongue is very rough, so they can grab a hold of a lot of things to eat, and they can lick salt and mineral, and that's really about all they eat during the summer. Now, when it gets really cold in the wintertime, and my friend here has already started to grow a winter coat, their hair gets a little longer, so they do grow some extra hair for cold weather, and they learn from the length of days, the lack of sunshine as the days get shorter, that winter's coming on, so they begin to grow extra hair. We let them go inside a barn, but we never close them in, even when the weather's bad, because a cow knows when it's okay for them to go outside. They can survive in very, very cold climates, and they can survive where it's very hot and do well. So really all we have to do is keep them dry, keep them out of the mud, out of the rain. Wind is tough on them, a cold wind. They don't like that very much, so we try to give them a dry place out of the wind where they can hang out and do their cow thing. As you get a close up of this cow here, you'll see that all of our cows have ear tags. Number 89, number 85, 86. And we use the ear tags to help us identify from a distance, especially up close, us and the family, we can tell which cow is which, and a lot of them we know the shape of their body and how to tell them apart. But from a distance, if I can actually sit in the tractor or the car or something. If they're out in the pasture, we can use binoculars to look at them, and we can tell what number they are by the ear tag. And so that's really for identification purposes. That's how most farmers in Ohio identify their cows. It helps us keep track of their age, and we have a numbering system that we can tell either by the color or what the first number is, how old they are. So Cagney, do you have any questions that I need to answer before we get any further?
It looks like we have one that maybe if you want to go ahead and answer. It says, what's the difference between beef and dairy cows?
Okay, that's a good question. These are beef cows, and as you were saying at the beginning, there are over 200,000 beef cows in Ohio, and states out west even have more than that. That's a large number. Dairy cows give milk. These cows also give milk. Cow's milk would all taste the same, but a dairy cow may look a little different because they don't have as much meat and as much muscle in their body shape. Beef cows are sometimes just built a little bit different. The difference between our cows and a dairy cow would be when these cows will have a calf, usually starting in either March or April, sometimes in February. A cow has a calf every spring, and then as the mother and the calf pairs go out on pasture, the baby beef calves will stay with the mother and nurse from the mother's udder up through maybe late in the summer. And once the baby calf is able to eat feed on its own and survive and thrive by eating its own feed that we provide to it, the calves are weaned, which is they're just gradually removed from their mother, and then they're fed separately in a different area, different pasture, or different pen. Then that lets the mother lets their body recover and prepare to have a calf then again a year later. In a dairy herd, when the baby calves are born, they're able to be raised separately almost immediately, and then of course the milk is collected by hand or by a milking machine, and then that's the milk that we drink at the store. So I hope that answers that question. That's a good question. It's common. Not all cows are the same. It's just how the calves are raised after they're born.
Perfect. Great answer, Craig. We've had a couple questions that they'd like to know, how big is your cow-calf operation?
How big is the cow-calf operation?
Yes, how big is your herd?
Okay, our herd is about 35 cows. It may be a little higher at times and a little bit less. I think most of the cows are close here today, and we have about 30 to 40 acres of pasture. So in Ohio, you can graze any area of grass that we can fence a little bit. That's how we harvest it. And when you see in the background our pictures, we have a lot of hills and some trees, places where rock is close to the surface. So as I said before, it's not well suited for cropland, but it does raise nice grass. We use the cows to harvest that grass.
Perfect. All right, you want to maybe head on to the mineral?
Well, yeah, let's go down. We'll show the mineral feeder, since there are a couple cows there. When you guys drive through the country and you see cows hanging around a piece of equipment that looks like this, not everybody knows what that is. And it is it's called either a rubber, a back rubber, but it's kind of like a comb that it has a soft wick in it, and cows don't like flies. You and I don't like flies. We don't like flies buzzing around us. Flies spread disease. Cows don't have eyelids, and when flies are around, a fly can spread infection into a cow's eyes. And as a producer, then we have to watch for something like that and be able to treat and help that cow get better if it makes it sick. So one of the ways that we can reduce the number of flies is it's no different when you guys go outside in the evening and you're told, well, put some insect repellent on and put some repellent on and spray some off or something like that. So what this thing does is it has a tank where we mix our insect repellent, and as the cows hang around this thing, they like to rub on it, and then the metal pieces here sort of part their hair like a comb, and then they rub against that wick, and it puts a little bit of insect repellent on their hair, and then they stand over in the shade and they rub into each other and they butt against each other, and they help spread it and scatter it around, and so it's just enough to help keep the flies off of it. The other defense mechanism that a cow has is some of them are doing that over under the tree now, is they swish their tail a lot because flies like to hang around a group of cows. So that's their defense mechanism. They stand in the shade. They sometimes make a circle. They make a group, and they swish their tails a lot. Now, to attract them to come up to this thing, like we said before, cows like to lick salt. And they won't lick too much. When they taste enough salt, they've had enough salt for the day, they walk away from it. But a cow's tongue is very rough, and so they reach in there and they'll get some mineral that they want, that they need. It tastes good to them, and they'll lick against the salt block, and that attracts them to come in here, so that as their face pushes this curtain away, that helps rub a little bit of repellent on them and gets it on their face, helps keep the flies away from their face.
Perfect. While we're over here with the cows, Miss Bangeter would like to know, how long is the gestation period of a beef cow?
Okay, the magic number in cattle is 9. If you can remember, 9 months and 9 days. That's an average, but just a little bit longer than 9 months. So, for example, in a pig, if you go on a tour to a swine farm, the magic number in pigs is 3. The easy way to remember that is 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days. So farm animals sort of, when you try to remember that type of thing, they're all odd numbers for some reason. That helps you remember it. 9 months and 9 days for most cows.
Perfect.
And while we're standing here close, I think if you have did you have a file picture to show? This machine that I'm leaning on is called a creep feeder, and the way it gets its name is it holds some grain and some higher quality feed, but it has a cage in the front of it and openings that are only big enough for calves to go into, but the mother cows are not able to get into it. So what this allows us to do is give some oats or ground corn or something as a little more high quality feed to the young calves that need some extra energy and a little higher protein. The cows can actually overeat and get too much of that type of feed, so we have to restrict their access to it, and they don't really get that much benefit from it. So like we say, the calves can get through the small openings and the cows stay on the outside. So that's what Michaela's showing a close-up of how the calves can get through there.
Perfect. Well, another question while we're over here with the cows. There's a question, why do cows eat hay?
Why do cows eat hay?
Yes.
Well, all right, I'll ask you guys a question, and then I'll let you think about that a little bit, and then we'll answer this in a few minutes. I will ask a question of all the students: how many stomachs does a cow have? So think about that, and I'll give you another hint. They have more than one. So you and I have one stomach, but a cow has more than one stomach. So how do they, or why do they eat hay? Well, they eat hay. They are natural hay eaters more so than us. But it's because they have more than one stomach that they are allowed, or that they're able to eat hay and grass and pasture. So has anybody typed in an answer with a guess as to how many stomachs?
Not that I can see.
Okay, you guys take a
Oh.
guess. And let Cagney
We
know.
have one. We have 2 guesses. Hammerberger says 4, and Mrs. Hilbun says 3.
Ooh, okay. All right. Now, let's say if I said a cow has, or if I say an animal has 2 stomachs, anybody have a guess what animal might have what we would call 2 stomachs? And I'll bet some of the students have some of those animals at home. A horse. A horse has, for simple purposes, you can think of a horse as having 2 stomachs. But a cow actually has 4 stomachs. So that was a very good guess. A cow has 4 stomachs. So that's how they are able to eat hay and corn stalks and a lot of plant material and digest it, because us humans are not able to do that, but a cow can do it. That's a good question.
Perfect. Great job, guys.
That was a good answer. Was that just a guess, or did they really know? That's great.
No, there was quite a few that answered 4.
All right, that's good for elementary kids. That's good. Maybe their teachers are helping them out. That's great. All right, let's move over then, and we got a few minutes. Let's take a look at the younger calves. All right, we've got some younger calves these are calves that these 5 calves came from those cows. These 5 calves came from the cows that you just looked at. They were born in March and April of 2019. So they've been weaned now for a couple months, and they're growing fast. When they were born, they weighed about 80 pounds. Today, they weigh probably 400 pounds, and a couple of them more than that. So they've grown really quick. And they're eating a mixture of corn and some soybeans, grain that we raise here on the farm. And they'll, a lot of people ask how many pounds per day do they eat. A 5-gallon bucket of feed weighs maybe 25 to 30 pounds. They will eat a bucket or 2 a day. So depending on how cold it is, when it's a little cooler like today, they seem to have a better appetite. So they will eat a little bit more, maybe 5, 8, up to 10 pounds of grain per day, and they really like it. We give them some hay also, so we give them a good mix.
Perfect. We have a couple of questions. How long does a cow live?
That's a good question. We have had some cows that live well into their teens. A cow will have its first calf when it's about 2 years of age. And if they have good nutrition, they have good shelter, eventually their hooves start to get weak. A lot of kids that have horses at home, they know how sometimes that goes, but their skeletons will get weak, and since they eat a lot of hay and they continually chew their cud, their jaw and their teeth is always working. So when a cow's teeth gets worn down, that makes it tough on them to really take in and digest the food that they need. So from an age standpoint, we're able to have a cow for 10, 12, 13, 14 years maybe. We've had a couple that have made it up to 16, 17, 18 years of age. That's pretty old for a cow.
Okay, perfect. Now, do you want to talk or maybe show them a little closer up of what the cows or the calves eat?
Okay, sure. Yeah, we've got a few of the feed samples, so we'll let you take a look at those. I think most everybody has seen corn. We just harvested some corn this past week, and to give it to the cows, they'll eat it if it's in whole kernel form like this, or we can crack it and grind it up a little bit. But corn is the energy source that has a lot of calories for their feed. Helps them grow fast. It gives them a lot of energy. In the next jar are soybeans. And we raised these soybeans, harvested them just last week. And soybeans are not as high in energy as corn, but they're very high in protein. So when we sell soybeans, they get made into grains that we sell, not only get used for feed and other uses, but the soybeans are made into oil that some of your textbooks and the papers, newspapers, and magazines that you read use soybean oil ink. It can also make biodiesel, lubricants, and be used as a fuel for vehicles, tractors, trucks, diesel cars. And after the oil is removed from the soybean, it leaves behind a meal-like product, which is very high in protein. So then feed processors can add a little bit of soybean oil or some molasses or something to it. They make these pellets that's what adds protein to our cattle feed. So when we mix high energy corn, high protein soybeans, and the protein supplement with it, that's what makes a really nice feed. And then you already saw in the salt and mineral feeder, if it just looks like sand, it's ground up minerals, calcium, phosphorus, and that we can also add vitamins in there as well to give the cows what they need. And of course, there's just a 50-pound salt block. And just put that out, and the cows will lick that whenever they decide that they would like some salt for the day. They go over and lick on it for a while.
All right. It looks like we have about 6-7 minutes left, so let's open it up. We're going to open up to more questions. And Craig,
Sure.
We're going to go maybe a little rapid fire with these questions so we can get most of them answered.
Good deal.
So the first question is, why do the cows and the calves, or do the cows and the calves eat the same kind of feed?
Why do they prefer? What was the question?
Do the cows and the calves eat the same kind?
Do they eat the same kinds? Yes. In the wintertime, they can. They don't always have to. A mature cow doesn't need as many, depending on how old she is maybe, or how far along she is in her gestation and her pregnancy. This time of year, the cows, those cows they're not nursing calves, so they can live on a little less feed than maybe the ones that you're watching eating that are needing a more high energy diet. But they all like corn. They all like good ground feed, nice high quality product. That's how we keep the cow herd. They were out in the pasture this morning before we started the trip here, and we called them up to the barn, and they know that for just a few mouthfuls of a nice feed, the cows will come. It's kind of like cow bait.
Perfect. And another question is, what is the average weight of a cow?
The average weight of the cows, when they're mature and fully grown, they can be 1,300, maybe 400 or 500 pounds. Market weight on these calves, when they get full grown, they'll be 1,200 to 1,300 pounds. Big dairy cows, our bull probably weighs a ton. He's out in the pasture by himself, but a big cow can get close to 2,000 pounds. Most of them are in the 1,400 to 1,500 pound range.
All right. We have about 5 minutes left, so we answer a few more questions. What age are cows finished at for market weight? And what is the market weight?
Yes, market weight varies a little bit. It depends on the animal. Some it maybe depends on the breed of cattle a little bit, but most of the cattle that are young calves for market for beef, that's maybe a year and a half of age. They'll be 16 to 18 or 19 months old, and as I said before, weigh about 1,200 to 1,300 pounds. That's a ballpark figure.
Okay, perfect. Another question: how can you tell the difference between and a?
Wait, say it again. The audio cut out.
Sorry. How can you tell the difference between a male and a female?
The male and the female?
Yes.
Well, that is a good question. The males are the males and the females are the females. Okay, look at our cows. Do any of them have horns? The answer is no. Not all cattle have horns. A lot of people think it's like in deer. I'm assuming that's where that question is related to. A male deer, of course, has antlers. If you see a cow with horns, that does not mean it's a bull, because some breeds of cattle do not have horns at all, and that's the way ours are. We prefer to raise hornless cattle just because it's safer. They don't. Sometimes horns get to be used as a weapon. They fight with each other, so we like to raise cattle that do not have horns.
All right. Now, Craig, why did you want to become a farmer?
Why did I want to become a farmer?
Yes.
I didn't really ever consider doing anything else. At least since the farm had always been in the family. I have a younger brother as well, and he's active and helps us some. But even when I was younger, I had another job away from the farm. But our family has always had its roots here, so we're just continuing on our tradition. We think it's important to have synchrony with the land. We work with our environment and produce good food for people that are in the country and around the world.
All right. And now, what's your favorite thing about being a farmer, and what's your least favorite thing about being a farmer?
Oh, that's a good question. I have a lot of things that are very satisfying about being a farmer, producing a good crop. Beautiful day like today, we're working in harmony with nature, and we're doing our best to be good stewards of the land. When we're able to produce good cattle and have some success at that, we kind of think that's a goal we would like to accomplish and enjoy that very much. When cattle get sick, or a mother cow is having trouble giving birth to a calf, and things like that, health problems with our animals, they're a great concern for us, and that's an unpleasant situation when we know that one of the animals in our care is in distress, and we want to do our best to help it out.
Perfect. All right. It looks like we are about out of time. So thank you so much, Craig, for doing this. And do you have any last things you want to share?
Well, like we said at the beginning, thanks everyone for coming, and remember to support when you have farmers in your area. They are more than glad to support you. If you support them, they'll support you. Ask them questions about what they do, and I'm sure they'll give you a good answer. And we're glad you guys came today, and teachers, thanks for taking time out and coming to visit us.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And teachers, if you guys have any other questions or would like to know any other information or resources for your classroom, please feel free to reach out to us at our office, and we can send you those and help you out any way possible. Thank you guys so much.